it. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodo Cast, your Star Wars gaming podcast. This is still not episode 100. This is Star Wars Celebration Chicago 2019 Afterthoughts. I don't want to call it reaction because that has a totally different implication. Or if it's reaction with a small r, not a capital R, because we're not all about that. But I demand that our thumbnail for this episode be the three of us just, have that ridiculous reaction face.
Okay, you guys gotta send me a picture of you with the Home Alone type face.
Oh, great.
I mean, we could also call this, recap or, I don't want to say summary. I mean, essentially what's happening is...
I like afterthoughts. Or, I thought about post-mortem, but everyone does that.
Autopsy.
Ooh, there you go. Alien autopsy, because it takes place in space. We can call this episode My Friend, My Other Friend, and Me. All right, so Star Wars Celebration. I'm Evan. That was Joe. Leo has been silent so far, which is hard to understand.
You hadn't said my name yet.
There he is. Look at that. As if on demand, like Disney Plus. But before we get to all of the stuff coming out of Star Wars Celebration, we've got barfing in the patron lounge, because that's the kind of thing you can do when you're a patron of the Jodo Cast. You can listen to us talk and then vomit in chat when we mention more streaming services. Your voice can be heard. It can sound like if you whoa. There is so much electronic vomiting going on right now. This is the quality. This is like
find the right place to pause this GIF so I don't have to see it.
This is like straight up gonna be the scene from Stand By Me. This is going to be the old blueberry pie barforama here in a second. Brought to you.
Our listeners are, they can't see what we're reacting to. Someone typed barf, and then someone had a vomit gif. Or gif, if you're going to jump down my throat about it.
I am.
And I need to stop looking at that. But that's something you could be involved with.
Yeah, you could send
our patrons
during our recording.
They can listen to us live and text chat at us while we do this, which maybe sometimes it's better not to look at that stuff.
Oh, it's the GIF that keeps on gifing.
Oh man, I think that's
Oh my.
I need the context. What did that kid eat before this was recorded?
I don't know. I can't tell if this is more like Exorcist or Stand By Me, but it's like a combination of the two.
It's a good one too. It's like a bleh and then another one.
Played by a kid from Malcolm in the Middle from the looks of it.
Man.
So yes, thank you patrons for making this totally interactive, wonderful experience from viewers like you. And if you want information on how you can help us keep providing this level of informative, hard-hitting journalism, go to patreon.com/thejodocast. You can find out all the cool things you can do for us, like we've just talked about.
You can send us...
And how we can say thank you. Oh my goodness. We just coined a new phrase about our style of journalism, which I think is pretty applicable to the internet as a whole.
I mean,
and that's
okay.
Jizzleism. That is internet journalism.
It just when you add an ism onto the end of it, that just makes that word at least 20%.
We have a qualifier. It's only Star Wars music criticism. So if you are a music critic of Star Wars music, then you are a jizzleist.
Oh yeah, jizzologist.
Or is that just the person who plays the music?
Although I think
did you guys hear the actually pretty sweet new jizz that they played during the
yes.
Galaxy's Edge panel?
I thought it was just classic jizz. Was it a cover?
They played some new stuff.
Oh, okay.
Some brand new stuff.
Oh, sweet.
I mean, it was new music from the modal nodes.
Oh my. Okay.
So it sounded very much like the classic Cantina music, but it was a different tune.
You know what? Never mind.
Any cover of Jedi Rocks is going to be worth it. I just want a dual set. I want one band to do a set of Jedi Rocks and Jabba Flow. That's all the world needs. So,
where were we?
Thank you,
patrons. Are the best.
Patrons, they're the best. Of course, obviously
they look at kid vomiting. But that is their right.
That's their prerogative. They make this show happen one way or another, for better or for worse. Oh boy. Okay, it's just Beyonce. That's okay. We can live with that. So, they do cool things for us. Whoa, we just lost a patron. Not really. Okay, he's back. He thought about it. He came back. But yes, we say thank you, and they do cool things for us, and they get to join us in this quest, much like Usador the Blue, and we appreciate them so much. If you want more information and just want to, be cool, hang out, have fun, go to jodocast.com, follow the links to the Patreon, to the Discord. We're on there almost all day, every day, I think. So you can come by and say hi. You don't gotta be a patron, but if you are a patron, you can listen to us blabble on like this live and influence. You can be a show influencer.
No one likes influencers.
I know, but we like our influencers. We appreciate ours. We really do. Just as long as you don't say racist things while playing Fortnite, then, we will cut you off. So, all that having been said, let's talk about Star Wars Celebration instead of vomit.
What? Let's rewind.
We've rewound.
We got a new patron. You got to thank.
Oh
also.
My goodness, that's right. Someone pull up that sweet info.
Theodore Onarheim?
Yeah, he's, I think, an Asgardian.
Yeah,
sounds like
definitely. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably pronounced Theodore.
I don't know.
Not Theodore.
Either way, it's a pretty badass name.
I wouldn't get in a fight with him.
I like that.
Onarheim sounds like one of the 9 realms.
Yes.
Yeah. As featured in the upcoming series, War of the Realms.
So in my mind, I'm now picturing him trying to pay his Patreon bill with those Asgardian coins, like in the Thor short, with his roommate. Yeah. He's all like, that coin's worth $1 bazillion here in Midgard. There you go, you're $1 gazillion, another gazillion.
He probably has lots of brains, like the brain is a muscle. Like, there's a brain, there's another brain. Okay, but for realsies this time. So thank you so much for joining the team, the winning team, the Revengers. But it's time for the Revengers to disband and talk about Star Wars Celebration. But thank you, Leo, for remembering that. I would have forgotten because I'm an old man and I forget things.
Thank you more to Joe, though, because he actually reminded me.
Thank you,
to
Joe.
Theodore.
Yes.
All
Most
the more.
Thanks.
All the more to Theodore.
I'm going to feel like a real idiot if it's just pronounced Theodore.
That's all right. You know what? He can own it. We haven't tell him how to pronounce it. But now, yes, maybe we'll talk about.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
games?
Yeah. I guess we could talk about Star Wars Celebration
as it pertains to games.
Okay, terrific.
I mean, I already did talk about Star Wars Celebration a little bit. You guys are the ones who are falling behind here.
Oh my goodness.
We're gonna, as amazing as it all was, we're going to be not talking about Episode 9, The Mandalorian, The Clone Wars, the non-gaming stuff, because unless, right?
That until we digress.
Yeah, we might. We'll probably get there, but it's not on the schedule.
Yeah.
And the reason is because there are so many other competent people who are talking about those things already. I'm sure there are way more people talking about those than are talking about the gaming aspect.
To play Deveronian's advocate, people might be more interested in our opinions above other people's because they listen to us. But
because they're the right ones.
I mean, I'm supposed to be like the non-biased mediator, so I'm just gonna let you say.
I'm not saying
things.
that other people don't do it like great, and there aren't other outlets out there, but
I'll say it.
I mean, people might be more interested in our opinions. But also, we're gonna skip right over episode 9, and the first news gamey thing that happened was a panel for Vader Immortal from ILMX Labs coming to the Oculus Quest and Oculus Rift. If you don't have an Oculus headset for your computer, or don't plan on buying the Oculus Quest when it comes out for, I don't know how much it's going to cost. Let me look it up. You're never going to get to play this, like most of us. Oculus Quest cost. It's going to cost $400. And I can't imagine paying $400 to buy a system just to play this one Star Wars title, as cool as it looks, because it's going to be coming out, I think they said 3 episodes. Each episode probably has around an hour worth of content. I don't think $400 worth for 3 hours of time, even though it does look really cool. They got Maya Rudolph voicing your droid companion. Pablo Hidalgo voices the training droid in Vader's castle.
Ooh.
Which, and they said you can play with the training droid as long as you want. It's not part of the story. So you could spend your whole day fighting a droid that has Pablo Hidalgo's voice, which, makes $400 sound a lot more worth it. Not quite, though.
I mean, do you got to buy the game, too?
No, I honestly don't know. I think all of ILM X Lab's previous content for VR stuff have been free. They had the Droid Repair Bay. They had Trials on Tatooine. Those things were free to download as long as you had the hardware to play it. So I haven't heard anything about Vader Immortal. I think it's free. It might not be, because it definitely seems like a more fully fledged experience than those past things they put out. Because this, it's more than just like a little demo playing with VR Star Wars things. They got voice actors. They got Steve Bloom is in it. Maya Rudolph. I can't remember his name. He voices Yeager on Resistance. He's voicing Vader. He does a good job. Essentially, you're just some nobody and a droid, and you get captured by the Empire and taken to Mustafar, and Vader's like, yo, you're gonna do what I say now. Also, here's a lightsaber. More complex than that. The story actually looked kind of interesting, but it's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems great. It seems like the kind of thing, like with the Secrets of the Empire, where like if you're at Disney World and you go to Disney Springs and get a ticket to play in that, arcade and environment for it, like, sure, that's fun. But if they're gonna say no, it's for home use, then make it on something that more than like 2 people have.
I mean, but then it's not like ILM X Lab is for making VR stuff, so that's what they're doing.
Yeah, so like PSVR.
True, that's a good point. Maybe they have some deal with Oculus, because it's like a flagship launch thing for this new. Because the new Oculus Quest is like untethered, which is, I guess, a really big deal for VR stuff.
I mean,
I think the other big deal about Oculus
certainly.
Quest is it's self-contained. It's not like other VRs where you plug it into your computer. It's like its own console that you wear on your head. But all this just made me want to go play Jedi Challenges some more, because that's contained in my phone, and my controller is a lightsaber hilt instead of whatever the Oculus controller is.
And that seems like a much smarter approach to Star Wars VR.
Because that was
readily available.
You can probably,
but I mean,
it's still expensive.
Why can't you have media in all those different places?
It's probably like
I mean, like you said, there is stuff on. There is VR stuff on PlayStation VR or whatever. So what's wrong?
I'm going
with
to take a wild
also
guess
having
and say it's harder. It's probably something like it's maybe they're not as standardized between those platforms. Like coding for the Oculus is a lot harder to port to PSVR and stuff. You know what I mean? Like maybe it would be so much more effort to make it available on more than one platform. That's not something they want to start with.
And it certainly looks good. I mean, it's a great looking. I mean, I'm sure it looks much more impressive when you're wearing the implement. It looks like the kind of thing that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but you'd probably do it a few times and be like, okay,
right.
Great.
Yeah, it's not worth $400.
That's kind of like how I feel about like the VR genre in general. It's just sort of like
it's not really a super sustainable like long-term play experience. Like you're not gonna binge it.
Maybe
well,
they'll
I think
get there
and one of the
day. But so far I just don't see any reason to purchase a VR set.
Yeah, maybe in like 20 years, if they're still making this, then we can go start with Vader Immortal and buy the 20 years worth of Star Wars games they've made, and then you'll actually have content. But yeah, they said episode 1 comes out with the launch of the Quest, and they said 45 to an hour is how long it takes you to play through episode 1. And
okay, well, I mean,
but
cool.
I guess I haven't been looking
That's
into it
fine.
because I'm not interested in the platform at all. But like, there better be a lot of other non-Star Wars games coming out for that thing to make it worth buying. Anyways, that's Vader Immortal. It looks cool. It's not worth your money.
Nope.
There's a
Moving on. All right, so the meat and potatoes is now
or was it like the plastic and the cardboard?
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same thing as far as I'm concerned.
The material
you can make plastic from animal fat.
Can you?
I don't know.
We should stop cutting down trees to make our plastic bottles and start using cows. More cows. That's the.
I don't think we cut down a lot of trees to make plastic bottles. I don't.
I read it on Twitter.
Oh, not Reddit?
No.
Okay, well, hey, then it's totally true. All right, Fantasy Flight time. And of course, this wasn't streamed on, as far as I'm aware, it was not streamed on the official Star Wars Celebration.
Was not
stream.
The fine folks at
so we should give a shout
Covenant and Gold Squadron podcast were doing their own streams.
Yeah, and maybe other fine
I didn't
folks
see
also.
Anyone, but there might have been.
We didn't see.
I mean, I kind of found one and just was like, all right, there's one. Don't need to keep looking.
Yep. So big thanks to them for making this happen. Like, come on, FFG, you have a video department. Why weren't you on top of this? In any event,
I could answer that.
Could you?
I mean, I could come up with an answer I think would be convincing. It's not their venue. They don't have, they're not in charge of the audiovisual equipment in that building.
That's all I have to say about that is, okay. Let's start at the top. X-Wing expansion.
They announced Wave 5 for X-Wing?
Wave 5.
It's a very different Wave 5 for 2.0 than for 1.0.
What was Wave 5 1.0? Was that the Decimator?
Yeah, Decimator and Outrider? I'm not too mistaken.
A super cool ship and a pretty cool ship with a dumb pilot.
Yes.
But anyways, we don't care about that. Wave 5 of X-Wing is what?
It's the YT-24 and the Decimator.
What was just announced?
2.0.
I'm saying that was
2.0.
the old one. Yeah.
The future is now.
Geonosian ship. The Nantex
Geonosian ship.
Starfighter.
And
which is freaking bizarre because it does not have like the 45 or like the 90-degree forward firing angle.
Okay, so roll it
It's
back a
got-
second. What is this from?
Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars. It is
Yes.
when they're chasing Dooku to where they go to get their butts kicked by him, there are some Geonosian fighters that shoot and knock Padme out of their ship. Those things. I think they're also escorting Dooku in his little speeder bike. Kind of looks like.
So this is not his solar
It is not.
sail ship.
No, it's not a solar sailor.
This is literally just the thing that popped out behind him while he was on his speeder.
Yeah, there were two of them in Attack of the Clones that I'm
Stuff.
Well,
Really?
I mean, you get
It's a fighter. The solar
Well,
sailor is just like a shuttle. This
Yeah.
thing is made for fighting things. Makes more sense to have in a dogfight.
No, I mean, I'm not saying, like, why don't we have the solar sail, because...
Oh, I
no,
thought
thank
you were like, solar sail deserves
No. I'm just... Like, of all the ships, I would not have said, oh, hey, how about the two things from Attack of the Clones that shot down the Lat gunships? Like,
well.
okay.
I mean, there's not a ton of options for separatist starfighters.
There are more obvious ones.
I mean, there are.
Just the
but I mean,
Tri-Fighter. I don't know if they've announced the Hyena bomber yet.
I thought they did.
There's
announce
whatever
the bomber.
Ventress flies in some episodes of the Clone Wars. But yeah, it's super weird because, like Leo said, it doesn't have a front arc. It just has a bullseye, and it has like a turret that's not allowed to face backwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
These guys better be cheap.
Well, who knows? We'll have to wait for the app on that one.
That's frustrating.
Would be nice. Yeah, you can't zoom
I mean,
in on
it's
the
going to
cards
be
like you can
more
with all the
expensive
other
than
games.
the Vulture droids, I imagine. I don't think they're ever going to go lower than that.
Yeah.
Plus, this one has, if they're in your bullseye, you get an extra die. They have better agility and better hull than the Vulture. 3 agility, 4 hull. So, I think they'll be not super cheap.
I mean, I'm sure someone far better at this game than I will be able to find a use for them, but I look at them like,
That's why they don't pay
No,
you the
thanks.
big bucks in X-Wing Major Leagues.
that's right. Yep.
Let's see. The other new ship that was announced was the Republic Y-wing.
And for those that haven't yet watched Clone Wars,
Didn't they show up in? They were in
in
episode
3,
No.
were they?
They were not.
I swear they were. Whatever. It's been a long time since I watched that movie. You would remember better than me, Joe.
I'm like 95% sure the Y-Wings were only in the Clone Wars.
I'm pretty
And
sure.
then we see them again in Rebels, but I think by that point they've been stripped down to look like the ones we recognize from A New Hope.
Pretty sure.
I think we see it some in. They're like in various stages of being stripped.
In what, Ep3?
No,
Rebels.
in that
It
episode
looks
of
like
Rebels.
these Y-Wings
Oh.
have the same stats as the Rebel Y-Wings. Obviously, they're going to have different pilots and upgrades. It looks like they come with a new bomb that looked some kind of like
I
warhead.
thought someone reported it had, what, one less hull, one more shield, or the other way around?
Oh yeah, that looks like it. That's the case. Yeah, it looks like it's 5 hull, 3 shields, as opposed to the Rebel one that is 6 hull, 2 shields. So it's better because it has more shields. More shields is always better.
Because you can replenish them.
It's a true story.
It is.
Other ships in the wave, gonna be the other ones are all ships we've seen before. We've got the Ghost
I'm mad about that one.
coming with that will come with the Phantom 2.
Oh, Phantom 2?
Yeah.
Yes, and you'll actually be able to dock it into the ship. So,
That's
Really?
why I'm mad.
yep. So you're gonna have to buy another
Yeah.
one
Because
Hey,
if you
the
want to
other
have a really
big
cool
thing is they redid the peg underneath the ship, because the original one was pretty not great. Because the ship was so big, they had to make like a custom one, and it didn't work well. Mm-hmm. And now they've made a different custom peg that supposedly fixes all the problems the other one used to have. I'm just annoyed because I've got to rebuy it, because a lot of the other ones, I'm not going to rebuy the Falcon, I'm not going to rebuy some of the other stuff, but I mean, it docks the shuttle in the back. I kind of need that because it's cool.
I mean, I've brought this up before, but I always felt like the pegs on the first run of larger ships were all bad.
I think it all really depends. I mean, it all just depends on the pegs you get in your particular package. I didn't have any issues with them in mine. In that first run. I mean, but some of my other ones I bought, yeah, I've had bad ones, but I've had really bad ones in the small ones too. So I just think that there's just not real great like quality control on the manufacture of those pegs or something.
Looks like each faction is getting a reprint ship, or like not a reprint, a re-release.
Yeah.
So,
because the what do we get? The Seek
or the Skick or the whatever you want to call it.
Yep, whatever you would call it. It's got a new paint job though. It's a pretty sick looking paint job.
Pretty nice.
Let's see the tie Vance prototype.
Like, actually, on the packaging it says Inquisitor's tie.
So they changed the name.
I mean, that makes it easier to describe to people.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what everybody called it anyways, so.
And the good old Jumpmaster.
Punishing one.
Which...
That is seriously the ugliest
not a good-looking ship
ever.
So I know that they had already nerfed the hell out of the first run of Punishing Ones. Did they pretty much go with... I mean, I don't know if we've gotten a good look at the cards or if they mentioned it.
Since these are all like redos, the cards for these have been out since the game came out because of the conversion kits.
Yeah,
you're right.
And
I completely forgot that all these ones have pretty much already seen the light of day.
None of these ships, to my knowledge, are very good competitively, because I haven't seen them around or being talked about. Maybe the Ghost now and then, but I think they're all pretty mediocre.
Yeah, I've flown like Inquisitor tie a few times in a couple lists. I did not like it a whole lot. But yeah, so like other than the Ghost, it doesn't sound like there's any new like features or anything being added to these other models. So let's see, and then while we're still on the X-Wing front, they finally announced Epic Play for 2.0.
Mm-hmm. That's something people have been waiting for a long time. And that's...
Yeah. I mean, they've been like teasing it since the 2.0 announcement. They basically said like, yeah, it's coming eventually. Hold your horses, but no details.
So they are going to be re-releasing the huge ships, but they're also, if you don't want to buy them, I never did get the Raider. I was never interested in the Sea Rock, but I probably won't get the Raider because I'm only playing Rebels. They're re-releasing them, but they're also doing conversion kits. So if you have them already, you can just get the conversion kit and they'll still work.
So, question that just occurred to me. Sorry to interrupt your train of thought, but I'll forget to ask if I don't ask now. In the conversion kits, we had reprints of all the cards for all the old ships.
Yeah.
Palpatine, if you didn't buy from, third-party outside sources, you had to buy a Raider to get Palpatine in order to do Pal bases. Is that still a thing, or can we just buy conversion kit, get the new Palpy, and you've got your guy? Or is the new version of Palpatine been like nerfed to the point where it's no longer worth what people used to pay just for him?
None of that crap exists in 2.0.
Okay.
None of it. You don't have to buy this ship to get this thing. Well, if you're buying mono faction, you're not missing out on anything. Palpatine exists outside of the huge ships, obviously, because the huge ships haven't even come out yet. There might be cards in those ships that aren't in the other ships, but we also know that with Legion, and they said probably with X-Wing, they're going to be releasing card packs, so you can get access to cards that maybe come in things you didn't want to buy the model for. So none of that old problems seem to exist anymore.
Yeah, I think, and they also mentioned that they're going to be making it so you can have up to like 8 players in an Epic game. I thought I saw, which is crazy. Which sounds like a lot of fun to me.
They also added a new movement tool for what they call it, for wings. Essentially, if you have like 3 ships you want to move at once and they're all doing the same thing, there's a tool for that, so it goes faster.
So unit cohesion?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, so you can move them in formation.
Which seems very handy.
I like that a lot, because I always try to play that way, because I'm dumb and I don't know how to game the system. So that sounds cool for me, even if that's probably not optimal.
And they're also redoing the bases for the huge ships, and they've made new movement template things, so I look...
Yeah, it sounds like movement's going to be simpler in the 2.0 version with the Epic ships.
Yeah, so a lot of exciting stuff for X-Wing, I think. I'm excited for Epic play.
I'll have to dust off my Corvette, actually.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I was going to say, because it's out on display, I have to dust it and keep it looking nice. The Tantive that you got for me.
I wonder if, because in the slides they just showed the Corvette, the Sea Rock, the Scum one, and the Raider. There were 2 other Epic ships, the GR-75, is that what it is? The transport ship. The ship that we're all still not sure what the purpose of it is in the movies, because when it's in battle, like it's just flying around. And the Gozanti for the Empire, because I'm looking at my shelf and I have those 2 as well. And the Gozanti was really cool, so I'm hoping they include the conversion stuff for those too.
I'm curious if they're going to also, I would assume, give us some kind of ships then for, Resistance, First Order.
Oh yeah,
Separatists, Republic. Well, I guess I shouldn't assume, but you would think that would be the case.
First Order is going to be a tough one, because all their ships are just obscenely huge. But I think all the other factions, they'll be able to find ships that fit the scale needs. What if the reprints of these ships are to scale with the rest of the X-Wing stuff?
Pretty sweet.
So after they talked about X-Wing, they talked about Armada.
Yeah. Getting some love.
There actually wasn't too much. I mean, there was very big news, but there wasn't much more to it.
Yeah, other than they were just like, Clone Wars, finally.
Yeah, Clone Wars is coming to Armada.
Sometime in 2020.
They didn't say what ships. I mean, you can probably look them up and guess. But there's also one more Rebel and one more Imperial expansion coming. They didn't say what.
But certainly compared to the last... Compared to the last 4 years, they've gotten more love in the past couple months than I think most of its past combined.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it for Armada. And the Superstar Destroyer is still coming out.
And I think probably the star of this show was the Destiny news.
I thought it was X-Wing.
Yeah.
But then there was Destiny news.
Yeah. I mean, the new set, Spark of Hope, does definitely look cool so far. I mean, all the cards that they previewed, all just, I don't know. Thrawn at the very least, seems like he's going to make your opponents rage, and it's going to be funny when you play him. Because he has the ability to take cards off the top of your opponent's deck and then play them. So you get to play with cards in your opponent's deck.
That's nasty.
crazy.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be nasty. Plus he also gets to just look at the top of your deck too to see so you can see what's coming up. There's going to be Ewoks in this set, so I know there's a lot of people who are excited about finally running some Ewoks. The really weird thing about Ewoks though is there's going to be like some named Ewoks, like Chief Chirpa was the one they showed. But then there's also just a generic, non-unique Ewok warrior who's really cheap, but it has no dice.
Yeah,
the character has no dice.
Character has no dice. For anyone that's wondering, wait, say again?
Sorry, you were breaking up there, Evan. What'd you say?
Oh, no, you were breaking up too. So just in case people weren't like quite catching what we're putting down, like, yeah, characters with no dice.
Yeah, it's very strange. They do, every time you activate them, they just automatically do one indirect damage. Now, it does look like they showed an Ewok bow and then said there's going to be other weapons, and like that bow only costs one resource. So I'm guessing all the Ewok weapons are going to be really cheap, so you can throw a bunch of them in your deck and put a bunch of weapons on all these cheap-ass Ewoks. Plus, like, Chief Chirpa has the ability to add another... Basically, you get to... Once the game starts, you get to throw out another Ewok warrior for free with him. And then there's, like, another support called Chief Chirpa's Hut that is sort of almost like a token generator. You can keep... As long as you roll the special ability on its die, you can generate more Ewok warriors. So they're really cheap. They have low hit points, but you have ways to keep kind of churning them out, which is definitely an interesting mechanic. It's still weird to me that they don't have dice, but whatever, I guess. There's a new Rey and a new Kylo in this set. And the interesting thing with them is there's a plot card that you can play that says that you can play Rey and Kylo in your deck, even though they're normally hero and villain, and normally you wouldn't be able to. So, and like the art is obviously from the throne room fight in The Last Jedi. So, I don't know, it's a cool thematic thing that they're doing there.
But it doesn't specifically say, like, Rey Bound by the Force, which is her subtitle on the new card, or Kylo Ren Bound by the Force. So you could theoretically use the 2-player intro set versions.
Yeah, if you wanted to. For sure.
I mean, they're still pretty sweet.
Yeah, I would have to double check on the points. I don't remember what they're set at right now off the top of my head. So, so I don't know how well they'll fit together points wise. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing that says you have to use these 2 specific versions of Kylo and Rey. But on the other hand, they are both only. They're both only rare, so, it's going to be fairly easy to get them from this set.
And we got a very Bishonen-looking Thrawn. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, his ability is just really cool. I like it. How you can play that. Plus, there's like a Thrawn-themed upgrade that... where you get to name a card, and then you look at your opponent's hand and then set each copy of that card aside, which is really great, especially if you used your reveal the top of his deck ability the turn before, so you already know some of the cards he's going to be drawing.
So, for some of us, the biggest news was squeezed out of the panelists in the Q&A.
Oh, or the saddest news.
Yes. I mean, it's very it is newsworthy.
You know what? I think I don't need a transcript. There is a transcript of it I have a link to, but because, people were like, wait, you got to reconfirm what we just heard. So somebody in the Q&A asked about Imperial Assault and if we're going to get more stuff, because they had nothing in their presentation about Imperial Assault. And naturally they said, oh, we've got stuff for the app. And then he actually said what's coming for the app. There's going to be some new challenge modes where you team up with your friends and you shoot for a high score. It's something you can replay and try and do better and better, which sounds kind of neat. But then he's like, okay, but what about, physical products and whatever? And I don't know what the exact words are. Essentially, they don't have any more physical products planned. Yeah, that's what it says. We don't have any plans for additional physical products for Imperial Assault. That's the quote. Oh, at this moment, yeah. So, at this moment, we don't have any plans for additional physical products for Imperial Assault.
So that's not to say that plans couldn't change at some point in the future, but...
Especially the tone of it when it sounded very I wish I didn't have to say this right now, but, this is the truth. He's like, yeah, this is how it is. It seems like there will maybe Descent. There's just going to be app support for 10 years, and then we'll get maybe they'll come out with another thing, which, there's the Ewok on the playmat. Where's the art from the Ewok from on that playmat? Doesn't make sense.
It's from Destiny.
Ugh.
But
from LCG.
I mean, so the thing was, on all of the previous playmats, all of the art was from units that were in the game. So then we saw them announce the one with the Ewok art on it. We're like, there's no Ewok in the game. There must be a new unit coming out. But I guess not. I don't know. It's
playing with our emotions.
I mean, Imperial Assault's still my favorite game. But there's only me and one other person who plays it around here. I don't plan on stop playing it anytime soon. But now I guess I'll save money. And that's more budget that can go towards Legion. I don't know. It's a bummer for sure. But I think we'll end up talking more about that at a future time.
Yeah, I would like them to put out some sort of official post or maybe something lengthier talking about it, sort of like they did with, Rune Wars or something. Instead of just
well, yeah, but the thing
they still having to drag it out of them.
Yeah, I mean the questioner really was, please, I don't remember what he said, but he was definitely, not gonna not get his answer, which was good for all of us. I see it unlike Rune Wars, Imperial Assault still does get the app support, so it's not like it's dead, and they're not going to come out and say that we're done with this game now, because they're not, and they're still doing organized play support and app support.
And of course, Descent 2nd Edition never died either, and they just got a card pack announced after all this time. So who knows?
The extra disappointing thing is, though, and this is maybe mainly among the skirmish community, which is, the kind of the more passionate Imperial Assault players, is the game has been left in such a real bad spot balance-wise, and if nothing new comes out, that meta's never going to change, and that's just really annoying.
But that's something we're going to talk about in a future episode.
Indeed. So that was the Fantasy Flight panel. What happened
All
after
We
that?
right.
really ended that one on a depressing note. We're like, yay, new ships,
Them's the breaks.
Clone Wars.
That's what happens when
new
you deal with them.
expansion. This game is dead.
But we can talk about
I
a
still
game that is
holding-
far from dead.
I'll just say I'm still holding out hope for a Republic Assault game. Same game, but in the Republic era.
It'll just be you know what? They can just make it a module for Legion using your existing Legion miniatures.
Sounds hard
So-
to sell.
But, as I was saying, we can talk about a game that is actually a real thing that hasn't been canceled by the evil overlords. And that is Star Wars, Jedi, Fallen Order, parentheses, EA, end parentheses. Because that's the entirety of the logo
There's no
for the
colon
name.
after Star Wars.
There is now.
All right. Yeah, there was a panel, and we learned kind of stuff that maybe we already knew, maybe we didn't. It honestly wasn't a super informative panel.
Yeah, I mean, we learned the main character's name. We're going to be playing some dude named Cal?
Which is not short for Caleb Doom, even though this game could have just been about Kanan. But his name is Cal Kestis, and he's played by somebody.
Dominic Monaghan, is that his name?
No,
Yes.
it
is.
Cameron.
Oh yeah,
something.
Oh yeah, it's Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah, there we go.
He's not a Hobbit. He's the
Oh
Joker.
right. Oh damn, wrong Monaghan.
I don't blame you. That was what whenever I see his name, I first go to Hobbit, and then I have to be reminded, no, Gotham.
May
not
I
Hobbit.
just say what I find the most sadly amusing about this game, before we get into more of the details about it, is they're very clear and very emphatic on Twitter and at the panel and in their other interviews on the Star Wars show stage that it's a single-player, story-focused game, no microtransactions, no multiplayer, all these things that I'd expect out of like a PlayStation exclusive, like the good games that people who aren't EA typically make.
Uh-huh.
And it's just so funny because they're like, oh, here's all the things that you hate us for that we're not doing. So please love us for, fixing our own problems. And
Sort of, I still think it's weird though that so they're like, this is a single player focused game, blah blah blah. And so it seems so weird to me that they were like, okay, we're gonna make BioWare the studio that's known for making these single player story focused games. We're gonna make them make a multiplayer online shooter, and then we're gonna take this other studio that's well known for its multiplayer online shooters and stuff, and we're gonna have them make a single player story focused game.
And then, remember when Visceral Studios with the amazing Amy Hennig died and its Project Ragtag died? Remember, part of the reason that EA was giving them a lot of trouble was because it was a single player kind of linear experience, and they were like, no, we need open world, we need this, we need Chewbacca in it. and now this game is all of those things that Project Ragtag was given crap for. So, in any case, let's talk about the game.
Yeah. So you're Cal. You survived Order 66 somehow, and then from what we've seen in the trailers and stuff, you're kind of like hiding. You're as a junk.
I think they said
salvager guy.
He's like a scrapper scavenger, but he's works for it's a job, not just like what Ray does.
Yeah, but I mean, so you're tearing apart old Venator class cruisers and stuff with giant lasers and stuff. The salvage scene that we saw was really cool. And then
shots in the trailer look cool. Like when he's sitting in the cantina talking to his friend, and there's all the neon and the stormtrooper outside in the rain, and a little gonk droid starts to walk by. It looks really cool, the atmosphere.
Yeah. And then you get discovered because the stuff we saw implies that he uses the Force to save a fellow coworker from falling into a huge Sarlacc.
Which I'm pretty sure is not quite, but startlingly close to that scene in A New Dawn where the person we just talked about has to save a construction worker buddy.
Yeah, Kanan's working in like a mine, and the only way he can save this guy's life is to use the Force, and then he's like, well, cover's blown, I gotta move.
Yes. So, again, what the I'm not editing this episode at all. No. Oh, man.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's...
problematic.
So he has a droid friend, which everybody needs in Star Wars. It looks like
Dio.
Looks like a pair of binoculars on...
I think it looks
his name is BD1.
Oh,
Dio
yeah,
is the one from
So
episode
Dio
9.
is the other one, that's right.
Yeah,
BD1.
You're the new one.
Buddy
That's
Droid
right.
1.
Yeah, that's right. Dio is the one that looks like Ferb from Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, Dio looks like a projector on two legs. And they said they got Ben Burt to do the voice for it, which...
Well, no, the voice, or did they say that they got him to do the sound for it?
Well, it's the same thing. R2 has a voice.
Well, fair enough, I guess.
Which, what happened to Ben Burt? Ben Burt's the best. Like, and these guys can just be like, hey, you want to do this? Why isn't he working on the movies and stuff? I don't know, but that's so cool.
You know, maybe people want to retire.
No, he's not allowed. He makes things for me to enjoy.
He's the Pope of, or the Supreme Court Justice of Star Wars sound. It's a lifetime appointment.
Well, but even they get to retire.
Supreme Court, and I'm pretty sure they just die.
So, like, when What's-His-Face retired so that we could get Kavanaugh in there instead, that didn't happen?
No, he just died.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can retire, but then somebody comes and kills you.
That's how it works.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg appears from the shadows. This is like, no one leaves the court.
Assassin's Creed, Ruth Bader Ginsburg edition.
We don't need to walk through the trailer because disappointingly,
yeah, no, that's pretty much it. I mean,
there's no gameplay in the
discovered,
trailer.
And then the Inquisitor shows up. An Inquisitor.
Oh, the second
what they say
sister,
is second sister.
Which she was actually snuck into. They're making her for the game, and then they asked the people doing the Star Wars Vader comic to put her in a scene. So she's been in an issue of Vader that's been out for a while, but she was made for this game, a new Inquisitor.
Yep. And so it seems like she's going to be the bad boss of the game.
Yeah, and I really what if she was Barasafi? That would just make my day. Because where's she been? Purge Troopers?
Maybe
that's a new thing.
Oh yeah, those Purge Troopers look kind of neat.
Those also were in the Vader comic. I think they were coming up with, because they said Cal kills a stormtrooper in one hit with his lightsaber. And so they're not a very challenging enemy unless maybe there's a whole bunch of them. So they wanted an enemy type that, he could fight Cal in one-on-one combat and be a challenge. So they made these Purge Troopers. They have the Electro Staffs. They kind of look like the 212th Airborne Clone Troopers, but all black.
Yeah, they're trained to fight Jedi, basically. The Purge Troopers are supposed to be the first guys who get sent in when there's rumors of a possible Jedi, and then once they confirm the rumors, then they call in the Inquisitors.
Yeah,
but because they might actually encounter Jedis, they're trained to fight,
and they do look really cool. And I guess they were at the same time in the Vader comic, they needed something similar, so they're oh cool, let's just share this thing again. I think the Purge Troopers showed up in the Vader comics too. Maybe they didn't, but I think they did.
Yeah, and that's honestly really the entirety of the panel. I mean, they discussed little bits and pieces of the game here and there.
We know.
I mean,
it's going to be third person. It's going to be They said thoughtful combat. It's not going to be a button masher, I guess. I mean, it remains to be seen.
He said thoughtful combat, but at the same time, he also said he wants it's to be easy. What he said is it should be easy enough that anybody can pick it up and do good. But then if you know what you're doing, then you can be really good, I guess. I don't know.
So
that
so
still
it
sounds like it sounds like it's a button masher to me, but if you mash the right buttons, you do cool combos.
So what it sounds like is the Batman Arkham series.
Yeah. I'm expecting something similar to that, or Spider-Man, or the older God of War games.
Well, I mean, the guy developing this, he did do the older God of War games.
Yeah.
There you go.
Stig, I can't remember his last name, but yeah, that's where he came from, was God of War. This.
I think a couple other things worth noting. He doesn't have a lightsaber until the end of the trailer, and they made a point of saying it's not his lightsaber.
Yeah. Which I mean makes sense.
They were very coy about any details on the lightsaber, seeming it's a very big deal to the story.
Well, they also showed you, like, it seemed like you found, like, some dead clone troopers and stuff in a cave or whatever. I'm sure he probably, at some point, that's probably kind of where he picks up the lightsaber. It's not like, oh, this was the last stand between some clone troopers and a Jedi, and then he finds the, he's just robbing corpses, like you do.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they say there's going to be, like, you're actually going to meet a Jedi?
Oh, the person in the trailer with him who, like, he jumps into a ship and she pulls him in. That's a former Jedi Knight, I guess. So maybe, that's what they said, former Jedi Knight. They said the second sister is very powerful. In the trailer, she's manipulating the flight stick of the ship they're on from outside of it.
It better be Barriss.
I get the impression that the people writing this game, even though they have like a story group guy on call, I feel like maybe I'm being too pessimistic. Like, they don't know who Kanan is. They don't know who Barriss is. They watched like the prequels once and then they've watched the originals a bunch, which seems very cynical, but from what we get, from what we've seen, I almost wonder. I mean, they do have the Inquisitor.
I agree. But I mean, they can just say, "Hey, who's a bad guy during this time that is not Darth Vader?"
Right.
Yeah. They probably get their info from Wikipedia.
Hopefully, the story becomes more interesting than it looks. It looks like kind of exactly what you'd expect from
the title,
Padawan. I was messaging my cousin about it, and he said he hopes the story is instigated when a waitress drops his food.
Fallen Order. He has to use the Force to stop it. Oh no, what have I done?
My cover. Hey, you know what? At least then we wouldn't have been able to say, yeah, it's just like New Dawn. Do you have anything else to say about that?
I don't know. I came out of that panel not very excited for the game. I mean, I wasn't. I guess I should say I'm a little bit more excited than I have been for the game, but it's still like, all they did was show us a few cutscenes, and for me, you can. I've seen plenty of games where they craft together some really nice cutscenes to show at a con or whatever, and gameplay.
Yeah.
I feel, and it feels to me like they didn't show. They gave some little thing where they're like, "Oh yeah, you guys are all like way into Star Wars and story, so we thought that would be the thing you'd want to see more." So there's no gameplay, and it's not like, no, that's bullshit. There's no gameplay because you still don't know exactly how the gameplay is gonna be.
And the more we talk about it, the more I think it's probably going to be sort of I hate to use the word pastiche, but it's the only thing that comes to mind at the moment, of Assassin's Creed, because if it's that kind of like running away from guys a lot, jumping from building to building, and then having timing based melee, because you might get a blaster occasionally, but I feel like it's going to be a lot of timing, counter, punch guy with the force, which is going to be okay for me because I like that, as long as it's well programmed and they've spent enough time polishing it. But
I mean, we do know there's going to be wall running. We see it in the trailer, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are Respawn Games. That's what you do." And they're like, "Yeah, we know." Okay, here's my guess. You start the game, you get found out, you spend the first 30 minutes of the game, maybe no lightsaber, you never get a gun, you're just doing platformy type Assassin's Creed type running away from people, punching people, and using the Force to solve puzzles / defeat people, and then eventually you get your lightsaber. That's my guess. You never get a blaster, but you do spend a sizable amount of time just punching and using the Force.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Honestly, I was just thinking about how much I would like to see Jedi look competent in combat without their lightsabers.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you know what I want? I want that first half hour you just described. I want an entire game of that, because that sounds like, to me, that almost sounds like the fun parts of Uncharted.
Yeah, and
yeah.
And what is still gonna, I don't think it's make or break for me, but the better and better games look, the weirder and weirder it is when the lightsaber doesn't, dismember them, or they better at least be like the red, yellow slash through people where you strike them. So at least okay, I made contact with him, but it didn't.
You're never gonna let this go.
It looks dumb. Like, look at Battlefront. If you hit a guy with a lightsaber in Battlefront, it looks like you hit him with a baton.
You know what? There's about that's pretty fucking far down on my list of problems with Battlefront.
Well, and if they do an Assassin's Creed style, then like when you use a sword on someone, you don't just beat on them with a sword. You go through the little combo to break their guard, and then you stab them through the chest.
Yeah, I'll be surprised.
So if they just copy that model.
Yeah, if it's something like that,
fine.
Or like Arkham. Because that works for a lot of companies and people like it. So
yeah. So if we're done with this, because we could just say, yes,
I think you might eventually get a double-bladed lightsaber. I'm putting that crazy theory out there. One of they said the saber evolves with you throughout the game. I think they said that in one of their non-panel
goes through
interviews.
puberty along with you.
It talks to you.
They said that's a big part of the game. Cal hits puberty, and the seventh sister, starts looking a little different in his eyes.
You mean second sister?
What did I say? Seventh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Who knows?
Wrong sister.
Pick a number.
Hey, sister, second sister.
All right, but we get to talk about my sweet, beautiful boy, Star Wars: Old Republic, and we didn't get a trailer. I thought we'd get one of those kick-ass cinematic trailers,
which is too bad. I'm sure they will eventually for this one. I guess it depends on how big of an expansion this is going to be, but it sounds fairly sizable.
Yeah, maybe, you know what? In a con full of big ass trailers, they probably knew they were not going to beat, the first ever Fallen Order trailer and the frickin' Episode 9 trailer and a Clone Wars trailer. So, it would have gotten sidelined pretty quickly. So if they show maybe a trailer for it at E3, maybe. Announcement here, trailer later. That'd be pretty good.
I thought EA wasn't going to be at E3 this year.
Oh, but they'll still have promotional stuff. They're not going to just not be there. But I don't know. Maybe they'll just realize that people will be just as excited to have things dropped on YouTube. Because honestly, people are just as excited to have things dropped on YouTube. But the point is, we are getting game update 6.0. and it is called Onslaught. And the Onslaught is getting back to, and this is kind of what we talked about on our last video games episode, it's getting back to the roots of SWTOR, which is Republic versus Empire. And what's interesting is that your character at this point in the story, they beat the Eternal Empire, and they became allies with both sides because they had to team up to beat all those bad guys that were neither Sith nor Jedi. And so you, as the Alliance leader, are sort of teetering on the edge, and you have to decide who you're going to help, who you're going to actively fight against. And all the last few story updates have been leading to this big reigniting of the conflict. So I think we can assume we're out of Cold War, because all of SWTOR 1.0 through 4.0 was all basically a Cold War where everyone was sort of stealthily, working against each other, sending strike teams to take out their super weapons, but there was no open conflict, and I think we are back to that open conflict state.
Except for in the arenas.
Yeah, but those were like isolated skirmishes. Taking control of the heavy guns on Alderaan, that's just a small scale skirmish that
okay.
both governments could say, no.
It's probably was actually really just like both governments were fighting over who got to then use those guns to bombard the Killik nests.
If there's a competition to see who gets to kill more Killiks, that's why you make more characters. That's why you become an altaholic.
So
this yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so it sounds like now Darth Malgus he's kind of running things on the Sith side, right?
Oh, he totally is. I don't know what happened to cool Sith Queen Lady, but I don't think she's in charge anymore.
Yeah. Let's see, and they add Onderon now as a planet in the game.
Yeah, not just Onderon, but Duxon is also here too. If anyone remembers Duxon.
Duxon.
It was, so in KOTOR 2, and in the old comics, you had Onderon, which we saw in Clone Wars, but then its moon was Duxon, and that was where the Mandalorians had put their base, so that when the moon and the planet came close enough, they could ride their Basilisk warfighters from the moon to the planet. In fact, that was where the last Mandalore that was around during Exar Kun, they went back to Duxon, and he got killed there, and the mask was later picked up by Indomitable, I think, later on. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. You were saying several more planets.
Yes. New race, too, right?
Yes, finally. Nautilans. That's, it's each time that they've added a new species to the playable list. It's for good reason, because there's a lot of extra moving pieces to those heads that when you have armor that has to fit multiple species with lots of extra dangly bits, that's a programming limitation.
Yeah. And I understand that's why we have these limitations, but I still wish we could get a slightly less humanoid playable race in the game. Because that's the one thing is, they really all look exactly the same, just with a different head plastered on the same body. All the different races.
Can't play as a Hutt.
Sadly, no.
You could get get the Jawa or Ewok companion, and then play as
romance
them. Maybe they're the main character and you're the sidekick.
You're the companion.
There you go. Companion POV.
Just RP in your own headcanon that, he just likes to have you do all the talking to the NPCs and stuff.
And
My God, Christian. Fucking. I'm sorry. I got derailed by this spider with baby hands.
On each leg.
You gotta be fair to the people listening and read exactly what the patron chat has said.
One of our patrons is demanding the right to be able to play a big spider with little baby hands on each leg. And
It is a big galaxy, after all. It's a big galaxy, after all. So more planets. We got a new one called Mech Shah, an independent fueling station in Boomtown, built in the hollows of a mined-out asteroid once controlled by the Hutts. That sounds pretty sweet. And Corellia, going back, so hitting up some old turf. And so Duxon is going to have a new operation at launch. So Endgame people who have been saying, hey, where's new operation? Well, there you go. At launch operation. And so that should be interesting. It should be, it's looks like Zerka Corp is there, and F those guys. But I would expect to see a lot of Mandalorian stuff there, which I always want more Mandalorian stuff in my SWTOR. And a lot of quality of life changes also.
Yeah, I see they're doing. They're as I said, I saw they're going to be doing something with like revamping gear and your various different items and stuff.
Yeah, a whole new gear slot, which will be very interesting to see how that plays out, especially given how they over the last couple years revamped gear progression. Yeah, so that should be interesting, and if it's coming in September. And if you're a subscriber, you don't got to pay extra for this new content. You're just getting it, which is always nice, not having to pay an extra $50 to keep playing the game that you're paying the monthly fee for.
Yeah, I remember back when they announced their first expansion that wasn't really an expansion.
The Hut Cartel?
It was a content patch, and then they wanted to charge people $15, $20 for it, something like that.
Yep.
And I was like, what the fuck? I'm already paying you for this game, and you want to charge me to add, a couple new missions? And they were like, no, it's an expansion. I was like, bullshit, this is not an expansion. There's not enough content to call this shit an expansion. Charge me extra money for it.
When what they should have been doing the whole time was getting that special edition, collector's edition store souped up. Am I right?
Yeah. I'm still bitter about that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wasted all that money on this stupid collector's edition.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, so the Darth Malgus statue is actually really cool.
It is. It absolutely is.
I still have mine in its boxed, though. I've never even taken it out of the box.
Yep. I can see my giant cube box from here.
So I guess I should say I didn't so much waste the money because, yeah, I mean, the physical stuff you got was cool. You got, a box the size of, a small child. So that way you can't really store it anywhere convenient. So that's good. You got the Darth Malgus statue, which is cool. You got that that little book,
the Journal of Nostaral.
Yeah, that was actually really cool with all the little notes and sketches in it and stuff. And then the
CD, the music.
Mm-hmm. But it was all the digital stuff you were supposed to get that, half of it, never really materialized. Or, I mean, technically they fulfilled the terms of their contract with you, I guess. But it's one of the, they were like, there's going to be this sweet-ass store only for collector's edition owners, and you're going to get cool shit in here. I mean, and it was like you got like I don't even remember what you could even get in there, but it was all bullet, and they never added more stuff. So it was like, and that was one of their promises, was that they was going to constantly be updating this cool badass store only for season ticket holders.
Yeah,
but no, we got the shaft on that one.
Well, and they gave us those like the access wristbands. Like you're going to the club, you could take the elevator up to the high rollers table at your home base station.
Oh, right.
And there's nothing up there. It's like, okay, this is supposed to be like the cool hangout spot, right? Because I got this sweet wristband. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
But I feel like that. I don't think I'll ever say they made up for that, but I will say that what they've done from 3.0 and on has been pretty darn good for someone like me, someone who's not like super into endgame and super into PvP, which kind of just leaves me as someone who loves the story, loves the timeline, because this is my favorite time period. It still is. And being able to solo play through countless hours of a pretty solid MMORPG experience, for me, that's really good. I just want to play story and play with friends when I'm able to, when I have friends to play with, because so many of our people, left. We all left. But if we can maybe make some magic happen now that we all have quality computers. Looking at Joe.
What is she proposing? That's one of my favorite lines from Rogue One. Just the guy in the back.
Yeah.
What is she proposing?
Oh. Havoc Hobby in chat. You're logging in. Good man. And they've condensed down quite a few of the servers. So unless Leo's going to make us play on PvPRP, I think we could
just a regular old PvP.
Oh, just regular old PvP. Great. I'm sure Joe would love to run through Tatooine and get ganked by someone.
We ain't no Care Bears on this podcast.
no crayon eaters. I think that was the name of that one episode of Mos Eisley Radio. When I was gone and I had no say in the matter. Terrific. Thanks, Zach. But yeah, like I think this has some potential, gentlemen. Now we got to decide what faction we're gonna play on. Are we gonna be goody goodies, or are we gonna be goody goodies on the dark side, or are we gonna be dicks but good dicks?
Like Star-Lord?
Sounds like the name of like an all-male review.
Yeah.
Good dicks.
Good dicks. Team good dicks. Because the bounty hunter story is good. The agent story is very good. Sith Inquisitor and Sith Warrior, pretty. We could go back to our tried and true smuggler and trooper stories.
Yeah, I mean, the Jedi Knight story is
that's KOTOR 3.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, but yeah,
you're right. It's 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. I will never let that go.
Hey, they sort of fulfilled that promise finally with the Knights of the Fallen Empire and the other one.
Yes, Eternal Throne. You're right.
Yeah. But
okay. Well, tell you what. I'll get off my soapbox for now, because I feel like I spent more time yammering about this than I did anything else, because my sweet boy doesn't get enough love on here.
Good dicks.
Yep, Team Good Dicks. We're talking about the sporting goods place, people. Come on now. Where you buy balls.
All right, I think we're done here.
Probably. Is there anything else? I don't think so. That is relevant, that's pertinent to us at the moment.
I don't think so.
No?
Nothing I can think of.
Alrighty. Well, that being the case, unless we
want to rant about the celebration Vaders, but I don't really want to do that.
Ooh,
I kind of do
what,
it,
though?
but I don't.
Yeah. I
don't
feel
think
like it's.
I don't think it needs to be discussed here. I think it's not as big of a problem as some people are making it out to be. I just am annoyed that I'm not going to get one probably. But I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal.
I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, that's just the nature of con exclusives.
That's what I was going to say.
Whatever.
Exactly. I mean, you know what? You can. I think someone on Facebook, on the Facebook group for Legion, said it like, you can go get a third party one.
Yeah.
It's no different.
It's different, but you know.
Yes, it's different, but it's just like, it's just a mini. It's not going to change the core gameplay. They're not going to have an advantage over you. They're just gonna make themselves a bigger target, right? Because they're taller. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah. Although I don't think you don't have to put that rocky base on there. I don't think if you don't want to.
All right.
So then it wouldn't be that much taller. But yeah, like I said, that's just the way con exclusives go. And it would have been nice to get one, but they're pretty limited. It sounds like, and they're letting. The one thing I will say is it sounds like they're actually letting other exhibitors buy them.
Yes.
And I think a lot of other cons, or at a lot of other cons, they say, hey, no exhibitors buying them. I mean, the VIPs getting in there first and getting to buy them, that's like whatever. I guess they paid for that privilege, that's fine. But selling them to other exhibitors, I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah. And if they're not ticketing them the way they ticketed us at Gen Con, I think that's a mistake too.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. I mean, it sounds like they sell out before you get in line anyway. So it's not like they could give you a ticket. Anyways,
okay.
So yeah,
so we're not gonna talk about it.
We're not gonna talk about that.
We're not gonna talk about it. No.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we're actually on our average length for the episode, so that's not too bad. I'm going to try to make this a quick turnaround, so there's going to be not a whole lot of editing, and there will just be plenty of warnings. We didn't swear our faces off, but, enough. But it's a live reaction, previously recorded. All right, gentlemen, I think that's it.
Fuck.
Thank you.
Good one. Good one, Joe.
Sweet Joe. That's great.
Good
Okay.
dicks.
The movie. It's actually about private investigators. Yeah.
Like,
Two good dicks.
what are they? Private investigators?
They are.
As in they'll investigate your privates?
Yep. A private dick. That's what they're called. All right.
But
Enough is enough.
okay.
Could that be the name of this episode? Good dicks.
I think then we would definitely get pinged by iTunes.
Yeah.
As if we weren't already. For Jodo,
Jodo Cast Special Edition. Good dicks.
Then they're like, I knew it. I knew that's what Jodo stood for. All right. Enough is enough. Thank you both for being here in your post-Game of Thrones fugue state. I appreciate it. Thanks everyone else for joining us in chat. It's always a pleasure. We appreciate all of you who make this tiny world of ours go round. And we will talk with you soon. This is obviously this week's show, so it might be a little bit until we get back. But in any event, hope everyone has a good night. And get on that SWTOR action, folks.
So how about that Palpatine?
Roll it again.